On this spooktaculicious Halloween episode of Food Factory, we gross out on green booger lollipops.
Hurry to get the slurry on.
Corner the market on the corniest candy around.
But first, we find out that the icing on the cake is actually on the cookies.
Greetings, boils and ghouls. Tonight's story is a shocking tale of Scarol's Butterscream Frosted Cookies.
Please don't talk like that for the whole segment.
Don't worry, I've already run out of spooky puns anyway.
Thank goodness. Or should I say thank bloodness. Cheryl's has been baking cookies since 1981. Their buttercream frosted jack-o'-lantern cookies are rich, buttery, and tender.
And scary. Elizabeth Allwine, product development chef at Cheryl's, is terrified of these cookies.
Scared that I might eat more than one or two or three, I don't know. Our most popular products today are anything with the buttercream frosting on it. People just love the frosting on top.
Frosting is all well and good, but let's start at the bottom with Cheryl's classic sugar cookie.
Yeah, these start the same way you'd start a batch of cookies at home. Creaming the butter and sugar together.
Followed by a witch's brew of the liquid ingredients eggs, water, and vanilla.
Then come the dry ingredients, flour, followed by salt, then baking soda. Everything gets mixed together to form 109 kilograms of dough.
Mixer Robert keeps a brave face on while he's making cookie dough, even though he's seen some weird stuff at Cheryl's over the years.
So I remember one morning I came in, it was scary, nobody was here. So as I'm walking up to the machine, I see these guys popping out of nowhere screaming.
A bone-chilling tale. Despite the thrills and chills at Cheryl's, they can make more than 100,000 cutout cookies a day.
The dough that Robert makes is deposited onto a conveyor that takes it up, and feeds it into a hopper.
The hopper feeds the dough into a machine that pushes it out through a pumpkin-shaped hole. A wire cutter mercilessly severs the dough into pumpkin-shaped slices. Ooh, that's gonna leave a mark.
Each cookie falls onto a sheet of baking paper. Once the paper is loaded with cookies, it's cut to length and placed on a baking tray, which goes onto a rack.
Once the rack is full of cookies, it's wheeled into the oven and baked for about 11 minutes.
The baked cookies are wheeled out of the oven and brought into a cooling room for about 20 minutes to firm up.
Next comes the buttercream frosting to take these cookies to the next level of terror.
When we say buttercream frosting, we mean butter. We don't mess around. In a year, we use about 1 million pounds of butter.
Oh, that's some scary dairy. Tim combines some of that butter, along with icing sugar and enough coloring to get just the right shade of orange fit for a pumpkin.
Hey, Tim, how about a pun that ties together the color of this frosting with a relevant holiday?
Aren't you glad it's Halloween?
Mic drop! Bravo, Tim! Bravo!
Now that the cookies are cooled, they're ready for frosting. The baking racks are wheeled into the decorating room, aka the pumpkin patch.
The most blood-curdling part of any garden.
With a single fluid motion, the decorators spread the orange frosting in a smooth layer over the whole cookie.
Beautiful. And now it's all done, right?
Nope, they're just getting started. The difference between a pumpkin and a jack-o'-lantern is all in the face. So the decorators place eyes, a nose, and a mouth on each cookie.
The final step for the decorating team is to hand pipe a green stem on each of the jack-o'-lanterns. There you have it, the treat that combines my two favorite things, cookies and being terrified.
The trays of terrifying treats are put back on the rack until the frosting sets.
Once the cookies are firm enough, the racks are wheeled into the packaging room.
A packaging worker loosens all the cookies from the baking paper and passes the trays on to his co-workers, who load the cookies by hand into a packaging machine.
This horizontal flow wrapper individually wraps each cookie.
The wrapped cookies get hand-packed into shipping boxes that are sealed, palletized, and voila!
Cheryl's Buttercream Frosted Cutout Cookies, officially the most spine-chilling cookies around.
Nope, they get second place. Elizabeth, what are the scariest cookies of all?
One made with no butter. That is a frightening cookie.
Exactly. Now let's hit the road, Jack. O-lantern.
All Hallows Eve, when shadowy creatures roam the streets.
They knock on doors in search of candy, making that age-old ultimatum, trick or treat!
Indeed, and the treat that everyone's after is candy corn!
Jelly Belly Candy Company has been making this Halloween classic for a very long time. Jeff Brown can give us the lowdown.
At Jelly Belly Candy Company, we're well known for making over 100 types of different flavored jelly beans. But we also date back to 1898 when we started to make candy corn.
We are the oldest continuous manufacturer of candy corn in the United States.
That's the vice chairman of Jelly Belly, Bill Kelly, who is a part of a 4-generation candy-making family.
We have corn syrup running in our veins.
Candy blood? That can't be healthy.
The company was founded to make candy corn. It was our principal product for many, many years until Jelly Belly jelly beans came along.
And they continue to make candy corn to this very day at the Jelly Belly factory in Chicago, Illinois.
The classic candy starts in these 3 kettles, one for each color in the candy corn.
Perfecto, yes, that's right, his name is Perfecto, starts making the candy with his handy-dandy touchscreen.
I'm Perfecto, and I get it Perfecto every time.
Beep boop, boop, beep boop. Jelly Belly may have been making candy corn for 119 years, but these days computers help them achieve candy greatness.
Perfecto pumps candy slurry, made from corn syrup, sugar, and water into each kettle.
He fills the jug with marshmallow whip, made from marshmallow, cream, and milk, and adds it to each kettle by hand.
Then a large chunk of fondant gets plopped in.
Concentrated color is added to create the 3 colors of candy corn: white, orange, and yellow.
Finally, top secret candy corn flavor is added. Hey Perfecto, how's life at Jelly Belly?
Spooky things happen here. Somebody tell me there's a ghost.
This is not what I signed up for. My contract specifically says non-haunted factories only.
Okay, relax, it's fine, let's carry on.
The kettles pump each color of the candy into a separate hopper.
The Mogul, a mighty monster of a machine, takes care of the next steps.
A monster? Rock roll!
The Mogul can make 9,000 kilograms of candy corn in a 6-hour shift. It's loaded with wooden trays that get filled with a thick layer of cornstarch.
The Mogul stamps candy corn-shaped indentations into the powder. Each tray will make 260 pieces of candy.
The trays travel beneath the hoppers that contain the 3 candy colors.
In turn, the trays are injected with white candy, then orange, then yellow. Right, Salvador?
White, orange, yellow.
The filled trays are removed from the Mogul and moved to a cooling room.
The candy corn will harden while it stays in this room overnight, and... Ghost!
There's nothing there, right, Bill?
Oh, great Scott. Okay.
Stop stalling.
Sometimes strange things happen in the factory. Candy goes missing, and we have no idea where it went.
Don't worry, Bill. By the end of this segment, we're gonna bust that ghost.
Okay. Now that the candy is firm, the trays are loaded back into the Mogul.
Each tray gets flipped upside down, emptying the cornstarch and the candy corn. The candy lands on a conveyor that brings it to a chute down to the floor below.
The candy lands on another conveyor, which feeds the corny treats onto trays.
Each tray is filled with 13 kilograms of candy corn, then wheeled into the finishing room.
The candy gets dumped into a large metal drum that spins to tumble the kernels of candy corn.
A worker adds beeswax and a confectioner's glaze to the candy as it tumbles. This polishes it to develop a glossy shine.
He scoops the candy out of the tumbler and puts it back into a tray. The trays are stacked and returned to a holding area to rest so the glazed finish can cure.
Once the candy is ready, it is dumped onto a conveyor line for inspection. Jelly Belly makes sure that only the best candy corn makes its way into your belly.
At the other end of the conveyor, the candy enters a batch weigher. The corn is portioned out. 85 grams is released into each bag.
The bags are sealed and dropped into the packing room, where they're placed by hand into shipping cases.
Then the cases are sealed and conveyed to the warehouse where... Wait, look, look!
It's the Jelly Belly Phantom!
Jeff, VP of Operations?
And I would have gotten away with it if it weren't for you and these pesky kids.
We would've just gave you a box.
It was Jeff Brown the whole time.
Yeah, I was the candy corn ghost. What can I say? I didn't mean to scare anyone. I just wanted to get some candy corn.
Well, when you put it that way, I guess I can't blame you, buddy. Well, it looks like we solved the case of the haunted candy factory.
Thanks a lot. I'm out of here.
Bye, Jeff.
Did he just say "voo"?
This Halloween, get your gross on. That's right. Learn how to sicken friends and nauseate people with Melville Candy's lollipops.
Now these suckers make regular lollies look like, well, suckers. Melville has tricked out these treats by teaming up bright green booger pops with barf and blood pops that are sure to delight kids and gross out parents.
Well, not any parent. Not, for instance, this joker, Gary Melville, who co-owns Melville Candies with his son, Joe.
Kids are always looking for something interesting. Parents are always looking for something to yell at the kids about. So what better thing to say, hey, Mom, Dad, I want a booger pop for Halloween.
So have you had much sugar today, Gare Bear?
Working with my dad. Very interesting, very fun.
And very Halloween-y, because this unassuming building in Weymouth, Massachusetts is the pinnacle of...
The terror starts with measuring and pouring out water, sugar, and corn syrup into a series of small cauldrons.
The pans are each placed on a burner, and the cooking process begins. Each of these mini batches will make 70 lollipops. During the month of October, Melville Candy Company makes 40,000 gross-out lollipops each day.
That's a whopping 570 mini batches, which means Melville is busier than Jason around Halloween time.
They're going to go someplace where it's hot, we do a certain formula. They're going to go somewhere where it's cool and dry, it's a different formula. So that makes the girls figure out where it's going to go.
Okay.
Wait, what was the question?
Gary? Gary!
I think she's looking for a more concise answer.
Okay, we make them so they taste good.
Much better. While the candy is cooking, the lollipop molds are prepared. They're arranged on the table and lightly sprayed to prevent the lollies from sticking.
Crushed yellow hard candy is sprinkled into each mold to add a touch of boogery realism to the pops. And finally, a wooden stick is put into position in each mold. Back in the cooking room, the candy is just about ready.
After 15 minutes of cooking, the boiling candy is golden brown and ready to come off the burner.
Each mini batch is flavored and colored separately.
To make the booger pop, a few drops of green apple flavor are added to the vat of candy.
In a two-step process, Hung, the candy cook, adds yellow, then green coloring, and mixes well to create the final bright green hue for the candy.
The barf pops get brown coloring, root beer flavor, as well as some rainbow sprinkles. And the blood pops have red coloring, cherry flavor, and some bacon bits.
If we were to add one other gross flavor, I'd say dirt.
Dog dung.
Dog-
Oh, armpit sweat.
Ugh.
Of a fat guy. That's gross. You try it.
Nah, I want good old-fashioned booger pops in my loot bag, thank you very much.
The hot candy is poured into prepared molds. The pops cool in just 60 seconds. And then they're ready to come out of the molds.
Each one is put onto a tray to cure a little more.
The process gets repeated for each of the other flavors, completing the unholy trinity of gross-out pops.
Booger.
From there, each pop is gently slid into a plastic sleeve.
They're placed onto a conveyor that carries them through a heat tunnel.
The wrappers shrink around the gross-out pops, keeping them sealed from impurities.
Oh yeah, you wouldn't want to get anything yucky on your booger pop.
The workers on the packaging line manually put stickers on each pop, identifying the flavor.
Each pop gets a bubble wrap jacket placed around it.
8 of each flavor are put into a display shipper and placed into a box.
The box is sealed up and sent out to all the weirdos out there who want to eat booger lollipops.
Booger pops really sound gross, but they're not. They taste wonderful. This Halloween, try a booger pop.
They
Tastes like sour apple.
They taste delicious.
It tastes so delicious.
Oh, delicious booger pops. The Halloween candy that gives you a trick and a treat all at the same time. Okay, so if you're anything like me, your typical Halloween goes a little something like this.
Knock, knock, knock. Trick or treat.
Cue the candy.
That's not just any candy. It's Albanese Confectionary's Spooktacular Gummy Mix.
Comprised of 3 haunting flavors.
Bewitching green apple broom, ghostly grape, which is the cat, and mischievous orange pumpkin. Spooky.
That's Bethany, Tess, and Dominique, who just happen to be a spooktacular mix of 3, just like their candies.
And together, they are...
The Albany Sisters.
also known as the Kardashians of the candy world.
She's Chloe, I'm Kim, she's Courtney.
Bethany, Tess, and Dominique grew up watching their parents run the 3-decade-old business.
I think that we were also like the unofficial taste testers too. Oh yeah, at least that's the title I gave myself. Yeah.
But as fun as growing up in a candy family can be, it does sort of take away the joy of trick-or-treating.
We would come back with all of this candy, and then we'd be sitting in a house full of candy with more candy coming in. So it was really just about the exercise of going out and going and begging for candy.
The struggle is real.
The Halloween-themed gummies are made here in Merrillville, Indiana, at Albanese's factory and candy warehouse.
The spooktacular process begins with John, who pours 22 kilograms of pectin and 22 kilograms of gelatin into a mixer.
Inside the mixer, corn syrup and sugar are both piped in along with water.
Once the mix is complete, it gets piped to this storage tank over in Albert's lab.
My laboratory today, we are making Gummy Spooktacular.
And to make the gummy spooktacular, Albert takes the corn syrup mix and adds citric acid, which is soon joined by titanium.
Excuse me? Titanium?
Titanium is a white base color. It makes the candy glossy.
Ah, good to know.
With the base now prepared, Albert's pot of witchcraft feeds into each of these color-specific kettles below.
As they fill, he tops off the kettles with color and flavor, which are cooked up to 115 degrees Celsius.
And the Spooktacular is on.
Well, not quite yet, Albert. Over on the filling line, these pans first need to get lined with a bed of cornstarch to create the molds, like from scratch.
That's right. Albanese doesn't use prefab molds, but instead presses the broom, cat, and pumpkin candy shapes into the cornstarch itself.
The trays then move underneath the depositor, which fills up each of the 350 cavities with the orange, purple, and green gummy slurry. Slurry.
The filled trays end up at this hydraulic system, which lifts them up, up, and away, and into one very tall stack.
Those stacks are forklifted off of the line where they head down this very, very scary laneway.
Don't worry, ladies. All that's happening here is that the trays are given a chance to sit for 24 hours so the slurry can set.
Once solidified, the trays head back to the line and get destacked.
That's where things get really frightening. The molds are suddenly flipped and smacked down, instantly releasing the gummies and shattering the bed of cornstarch altogether.
As the tray's contents slide down a chute, the cornstarch is filtered out, and we're just left with the good stuff, the gummies.
Then the spooktacular gummies fall into this tumbler, which is operated by this piece of eye candy.
Hi, my name is Terrence, and I'm the tumbler operator.
Any favorite gummies, Terrence?
All of them are my favorite.
Okay, thanks for the clarification there, bud.
Inside the tumbler, the gummies get jumbled together as vegetable oil and carnauba wax are added to give them a nice sheen.
And the end result? Delicious candy.
That delicious candy heads up this elevator conveyor, passing by a quality control check,
and then heads over to the bucketware system, which sorts the gummies into 2.2 kilogram batches and drops them into the packaging machine.
And then comes the coolest part. In the Halloween spirit, a series of employees wearing some really convincing robot costumes put the bags into cases.
Hate to break it to you, but those are actual robots.
Next thing you'll be saying is that this guy picking up the master cases and stacking them up for palletizing isn't dressed like a robot either, huh?
I don't know why even bother. Albanese produces over 20 million gummies each year, which is a freaking spookload.
Albanese's Gummy Spooktacular mix is so frighteningly delicious, you'll want to sink your teeth right in it. Right? Sink your fangs. Sink your fangs? Yeah, say it again, you messed it up.
Take two.
Albanese's Gummy Spooktacular mix is so frighteningly delicious, you'll want to sink your fangs into it.
Nice teamwork, ladies. Happy Halloween!
Happy Halloween from the Albanese Sisters.
Spooktacular indeed.
For more information about the show, please visit foodnetwork.ca.